Magazine.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video-on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Doc Rotten, Crystal Cleveland, and I take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. This week, Doc Rotten is not with us, as you may be able to tell. He is still on his well-deserved sabbatical, is what I'll call it, because I know he's not relaxing. He's trying out new apps and checking out new stuff like crazy. But with me this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm good. All the Halloween stuff is hitting the stores, so it's been a really good week so far. What about for you? How are you doing? Good?
Yeah, had a great week. Had a birthday.
Yay! Yeah, it was your birthday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh
yesterday.
My gosh, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, you're fine.
Cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday.
That's me, cool. Yeah, I spent the day, I stole candy from a baby and then threw it in the river.
Oh my, yes!
I didn't want him to snitch, obviously.
That's a great reference.
Okay,
you won't know that reference until you watch the movies.
Moving on. Joining us once again is Horror News Radio co-host Dave Dreher. How are you tonight, Dave?
I am loving the fact that you got a Frankie Mermaid reference in the opening of the show. I am so excited.
Oh, I was going to say
awesome.
AKA Frankie Mermaid.
Yes. That is just so awesome.
Yeah, well, until you watch Velocipastor, then you will know that's a character in Velocipastor.
Yes. You will know the true treasure that is Frankie Mermaid.
Frankie Mermaid.
Absolutely. Oh my
Sometimes
gosh.
Known as Frankie fucking Mermaid.
That's true.
Anyway, so we have two pretty cool movies for you this week, and I'm going to say, at least, anybody else think of a theme or a connection between these two?
Theme.
Well, I sort of came up with one, but it's pretty 30,000 foot. It's basically mashup week, because we got Derailed, which is kind of a mystery, kind of a paranormal, kind of a creature feature, and Velocipastor, that's comedy, fantasy, love story, a little bit of creature feature, right?
Oh,
right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a stretch.
It's probably about the closest you're going to come to actually being able to tie those two together, though.
So, well, let's get going with Velocipastor, and this film is about a priest. After losing his parents, he travels to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. At first, horrified by his new power, a hooker convinces him to use it to fight crime and ninjas.
I'm laughing already, and I can't. We're not even talking about it.
That's a great synopsis. That's probably one of the best synopses we've had. This is
we get parental death, a priest, and a hooker in the first 6 words.
Yes. So anyway, directed by Brendan Steere. I think it's directed and written by Brendan Steere. Cast includes Alyssa Kempinski, Greg Cohan, and Claire Sue.
Oh my gosh, it has Aurelio Voltaire, who is the goth daddy. Oh my God, that has me so excited. I'm just letting you know right now. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goth is what I should say.
Well, and this is coming this August to DVD and digital, so I don't know exactly when that is. But let's go to Crystal first. And what are your first impressions of Velocipastor?
So, I just want to state for the record that I loved this movie. I from watching the trailer, I really didn't know what to expect. I wasn't actually sure if the movie was going to take itself seriously or not. But you get right into the movie, and the first scene that you have where there is supposed to be a car on fire. It says video effects, car on fire, and there's no car on fire.
Yes.
Yes, I knew we were in for a true treat when I seen that.
Yeah. Actually, for a split second, I was like, wait, did we...
Is this an unfinished screen?
Yes. I was like, wait, is this just like, are they not finished? And then immediately I got it, and I started dying. I mean, I couldn't handle that. And so after that, I immediately knew what sort of movie I was dealing with. And basically, I think I pretty much laughed the entire movie. The lead actor played this so perfectly that even when I was just staring at his face, I couldn't stop laughing. There was just something about his face, even those looks that he would give, that made me laugh. And the girl who plays the hooker played it very straight, and it worked so well because I think he overacted a bit, and it worked well to her playing it a little bit straighter. And there were moments where I was like, you can tell that he's a good actor. He's just putting it on, because I was like, oh, he almost did that too well. You know, I was like, he almost did it too well. There were so many funny moments. It was very politically incorrect at multiple points. I mean, basically, we had the ninjas from South Park come to life in a movie. I mean, I was like, what are they doing? And I know that the pastor is supposed to turn into a velociraptor, but he kind of looked like a T-Rex to me. I mean, if I'm
a mini T-Rex, a man-sized.
I mean, I'm sure that was just easier costume to find. But there is a moment too where you finally get to see the full body, and I was dying because you could see this huge hole in between the legs, and I was like, they just don't even care. They don't even care.
The bump on the back of his neck where you can see where his head was.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, they don't even care, and that's what
I swear I saw a hand when he bit the guy's arm off. I thought I saw a hand coming out from inside the mouth to pull it.
You probably did. I mean, you probably did. Had I stopped it, but they didn't fix any of that. They didn't correct any of that, and they shouldn't. Like, that's like a movie that is campy and is just willing to go into campy. I can get behind all day long. You know, I like had they tried to play this straight at all, it would have been I don't know, it might have been still kind of funny, but it still would have been a horrible train wreck to a degree. Like the sex scene. As the sex scene's happening, they went off a little into La La Land with the lighting and the cinematography, and then I realized I was dancing around, and I realized, oh, this wasn't a sex scene. This was a music video, put into the movie. I was like, this is so weird, and I had so much fun with it. I really had fun with this. And I love Aurelio Voltaire. I love him, and he was perfect in this. I mean, Altair, I think is what they called him, which is hilarious. And the fact that he plays this most random, I guess, what was he, an occult master or whatever he was? I was like, I haven't seen him in anything as of, well, I mean, he's been on Cartoon Network. He did the Brain songs and stuff like that, but seeing him and his pretty face right there, yeah, I mean, that's for the ladies. I know y'all are like, whatever, but for me, I was like, yes, I approve of this message, and now the movie has gotten even better. So yeah, I mean, I have to say, if I were saying anything negative about this movie, I don't know if I could find something. I mean, I think they did it all really well. Yeah, that was supposed to be just my first thoughts, and I basically just went, bleh. I'm like, loved it.
Kind of like the movie. She loves it.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to Dave. I knew what Dave was thinking because I saw his post when he was watching it. So what are your first impressions of the Velocipastor?
The Velocipastor. I'll tell you, I think Brendan Steere is my spirit animal. This guy has made the most ridiculous film ever made. But I was with Crystal. I was belly laughing the entire way through this thing. I mean, I got every in-joke, everything they were doing. I thought it was just damn near perfect. I mean, obviously, technically, this thing's a mess. But I think it's purposely technically a mess, which makes it even better. You know, I mean, they went out of their way to make things really ridiculously inept. I just loved it. I really did. This might well be the most fun I've had watching a movie this year. It was just crazy. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into more in depth with it, but I mean, there were a couple parts. Adeline's death. Was that her name, Adeline?
Yes.
When they oh my God, her death just had me.
God, that was my favorite. That was so funny.
Freaking choking. I was laughing so hard. And they just hang on that guy's face for like
what did that guy say too?
That guy just walks over and goes, "Trip mine." You know? And it was like, oh
No,
my
but
God.
Dave.
She's too far gone.
They show you the grass, and you're supposed to know it's Vietnam. That's what I was dead. I was like, wait, oh God, it's Vietnam. I was like, oh my gosh. No.
So funny. I mean, just absolutely insanely hilarious. And yeah, and Crystal was right. I mean, they all play it straight. I actually thought the gentleman that plays the Velocipastor, is that Greg Cohen? Is he
Yes.
our lead? Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, from that opening scene when we get the when his parents explode. You know, I mean, you know, right then you're in for something special. He reminded me, he was James Tiberius Kirking the thing all over the place. You know, I mean, just like way over the top
Yes.
reactions to everything that was going on. And, you know, and it just worked. It really did. It worked on every level. I want to champion Velocipastor.
Yes.
I'm with you.
I'd go with that.
That's my first thoughts.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I was the hesitant, almost naysayer on this one because from the trailer, I didn't get the idea of what the movie was going for. I guess
I agree.
I've seen enough bad movies that I just thought it was just going to be a really bad movie. But it is almost perfect at being what it's trying to be, which is not that easy. I think, you know, walking that cliff edge of satire, pastiche, buffoonery almost, without falling over the edge is not that easy, I don't think. And they were just nailed it in every scene. And there's things in each scene. Sometimes there was two things going on. Like when you're having the ninja fights, if you looked at what was going on in the background, like you never see that, right? Or the one scene where he's, you know, there's a heartfelt scene over a dying person that lasts like a minute, and there's supposed to be a bunch of fighting going on. And they're all just standing there.
It's so dumb. And what was with the dude and the laugh? I still don't understand what that was about.
Because, you know, like those movies, like, I remember when I was a kid, there used to be these dubbed Asian movies.
Oh my God, yeah, and they'd go.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's why when he first spoke, like his lips didn't match.
Gotcha. I get it now.
Dead. I died. At that the moment, I went, oh my God, no, they did. Oh God, they did. They went there, and I was like, oh my God, that's the funniest shit I've.
There's a lot of good characters in this. So we had Alyssa Kapinski's Carol, who plays the hooker, and then I mentioned Claire Sue as she's the Chinese villager that I think gets killed right at the beginning.
Oh, she's the one that scrapes his hand. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes.
She's Typhoid Mary.
The one that falls down that's pierced through by an arrow, and he says, "Are you hurt?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?" Yeah, that was it. So I can't quit giving these away, but it's God. It was just. And then Greg Cohen is Velocipastor. Aurelio Voltaire is kind of a seance medium, I don't know.
The cult
Like,
master, like
the exorcist. I think they went to him. He was like an exorcist.
Yes,
He was
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Mermaid is played as the.
we haven't even got to Mermaid yet.
Yeah, Frankie Mermaid is Carol's pimp, and he's played by Fernando. I know I'm not pronouncing this right, but Fernando Pacheco de Castro. That guy was
he's
hilarious.
amazing.
Yeah, he is.
One of the worst pimp hat. Well, he's got a red, a typically red pimp hat on, but he has it formed like a mini sombrero almost. It just was weird looking. And when he takes his hat off, he's got this long, greasy hair, pimp style.
He's bald. He's got the comb over with like 4 strands.
And he's one of those guys that just plays that great. He just has that rhythm, that cadence in his voice to throw the swearing in and sounding good. Both the scenes I thought were peaks.
They're iconic, iconic scenes. The confessional scene is the stuff of magic.
And that's what Jeff mentioned at the beginning, stealing candy from a baby. That is hilarious. I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And then they just kept going. And kept going. And I was like, no.
Just to round out the cast, Father Stewart, played by Dale Steere. So
he was amazing too.
Sounds like the little nepotism going on.
Sounds like it to me. Whether that be a brother or even a father.
Yeah, he was more elder,
Yeah.
And then the headmaster, Wei Chang.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
At the, I can't even say Artemimus Academy, which I'm sure there's a joke there somewhere, but I'm not sure I get it other than it just sounds really weird when he says it. I think he says Artemimu or something. Played by Ji Chang Yang. So those are the main folks that we see frequently, and they're all just pitch perfect for those roles. One thing I was thinking was I thought Hitler on a T-Rex and Iron Sky, the coming race, was couldn't be topped. But
yes. And actually, did you notice that his character looked like he had like a Hitler mustache as well? I was like, wait a second, that seems.
Whose character?
The Asian leader. Yeah. Immediately, I was like, wait, and dinosaurs? Yeah. I was like, wait a second. I've seen this before.
Especially on the well-crafted model of his head.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, all right. We're just kind of yucking it up here. But, I mean, what can you say? We've got a, I don't know whether you call him a were-velociraptor / priest with mad ninja skills who has a prostitute pre-med law school girlfriend.
Oh my God! I forgot about
who
that
also
part.
happens to have mad ninja.
Yes. How did she become such an expert fighter? I would love to know.
I don't know. And just the length that the filmmakers went to and the details in this, I thought, because if you looked around on the sets and that stuff, there was other things in there. A lot of the scenes have multiple gags on screen at the same time. I am so impressed because I just think it's so hard to do this.
Well, and
get it to
the
come
writer,
out that well.
The writer was unbelievable. Like the lines were hilarious. Like I was sitting here and one of my favorite one scene that I enjoyed was like he's there with the hooker and she goes, well, I don't know much about God. And then the actor, who's clearly a pro and waits a little bit too long to respond, which makes it even funnier. He says, I don't know much about dinosaurs. What? I'm like, oh, and then he says dinosaurs never existed. Oh my gosh. I was dead. I was like, yes. Yeah, this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her lines are so deadpan, but they're setups and they're good in their own way. So the other things that just totally cracked me up were when he was running around the forest in the orange dress he borrowed from her. Do you have anything I can wear? She goes, well, yeah.
And I'm like, of course, that's all she could find, right? That's the most masculine piece of clothing she owns. Oh my God.
And then Pastor Stewart's eye patch
Oh my God.
I couldn't even
Went
look
over
I
his
just started
glasses?
laughing. It was like this weird cone-shaped eye patch over his glasses. Anyway, and I need to ask
So
you guys,
dumb.
did the headmaster Wei Chin, when he was, questioning that guy at the end, did he all of a sudden have a German accent?
Yes. Or
Yes, he did.
That's what I
Australian,
thought. When you
Australian,
must tell
right,
me
or
this,
something.
it's like right out of a
Yes.
Cheech and Chong album.
Uh,
Okay.
There was a point where I was like, this is left all reality. But it's not so far off that, it becomes unfunny or they didn't go too far. Yeah, there's always a balance with these kind of movies. And yeah, I think this was perfectly balanced. Like, wow.
Yeah. We did give away some of the gags, but
There's still more.
I think I watched it twice. I had enough time. I went and watched it a second time because I just thought I had to miss stuff. I got to watch it again. And the timing is impeccable. You talked about that sort of pregnant pause there between the two questions, Crystal, but there's a lot of times where they stop like 2 words before the end of a sentence, and then right before the big ninja fight at the end, I actually timed it the second time I watched it. There's 15 seconds go by before he finishes the sentence.
And see, there's something so funny about uncomfortable silence. I don't know what it is, but it's funny. It's like, whoa, that was a little too long. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. Yep.
So any other comments we could say here other than we've holy cow. I don't want to I don't want to give the whole thing away.
I know. And that's
The whole thing with
I
with his
know.
brother and you're my only son.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so
God.
dumb. It's so dumb. I was like, no, they sure. I found myself saying, no, they did. Oh, but they did. Oh, but they did.
really, as we're talking about it, honestly, the more I think about it, this is like the airplane of horror movies. I mean, it really is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, anybody who takes the time to watch this and really delve into it, you're going to be quoting it, for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what this is. It's brilliant. It's wonderfully written and wonderfully acted, and it's perfectly horrible in every way.
Yeah.
I could not agree more. And that's what I'm saying. It's like I want to say more, but really I would just be giving more scenes. There's plenty of more laughs than what we mentioned for sure.
I have a feeling we even missed some,
I have no doubt that I missed some of the stuff. You talked about the love scene, and I think this is what happened, and they actually do it twice, where they get into this sort of split screen mania almost, where they end up with I think 9 or 12 or 16.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's 12. Yeah, at one point in time, yeah. It just keeps breaking and smaller.
It just kept going.
Smaller.
And you're like, why is it happening? It doesn't matter. Just live
doesn't
it.
matter.
Just live it.
There's going to be a contingent that just don't get this movie. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
And it's too bad for them because they need to get their heads out of their ass and really enjoy this because it's brilliant parody. The only way we're screwed is if the director is sitting there going, no, this was like a serious movie, man. Sorry, man. Yeah, well, it is what it is.
And let me tell you, if he is and if he does, I'm like, you're living in the most amazing delusional world, and I would like to join you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm really happy we watched
I am
this.
too. I am too.
Yeah.
You guys talked me into it, and I'm glad you did. Well, let's get to. I don't know how much we have left, but Crystal, give your final thoughts, score, and favorite scene for the Velocipastor.
So obviously, you should watch this movie most definitely, and have a good time with it. Maybe even, have a couple drinks. Watch it with your friends and make jokes about it because it's hilarious. I am giving this a 3.75, so 3 3/4, which is really good for me. I know I feel like I'm so hardcore because I love it so much, but a 3.75 is very solid, very, very good. And my favorite scene is oddly well, it does include Voltaire, but it's not about him. This scene struck me because for a split second, the movie took me out of the comedy and it almost became real. It was during the exorcism scene, and it was his beginning transformation. When he starts to transform during that scene, he looks up, and for a second I was like, damn, that looks really good. Do you remember that? Do you guys remember that?
Like the cords on his face and the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he has the contact. He has the contacts in, I think, right? To give
he had the contacts, and then he has like kind of the veining going through his face, and like these teeth. And I guess I just really liked it because it was very unexpected. It was so good looking. It was unexpected, and so it kind of threw me for a loop, and it struck me really. I was like, oh, that's fun. And then, of course, he brings up his hand, and he's clearly wearing
the rubber gloves.
Yeah. So it brought me back into reality. But yeah, that scene was, I was like, damn, they did a good job there. And it just struck me. So yeah, they're pretty much the whole movie is my favorite scene though. Honestly.
Excellent. Dave, what about your final thought, score, and favorite scene for the Velocipastor?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much more because I really think this is something that everyone needs to kind of experience for themselves, for sure. Favorite scene, I've already mentioned. As much as I love Frankie Mermaid and his two scenes, I think my favorite scene still has to be Adeline's horrendous disposal at the hands of the Vietnamese strip mine. That whole scene was just hilarious, and how long. I mean, again, the timing was perfect on it. Everything about that scene is perfect. I literally, it's been a long time since I've actually laughed out loud, laughed out loud, because they just kept cutting back to that guy standing there, and then when that dude steps over and goes, "Trip mine," I just can't do this. I think I actually texted the doc, and I was just like, I can't do it. I can't. So for sure, and I'm going to go a little better than the lovely Miss Cleveland here. I am going to give it a 4.25.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of the year.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of his favorites of the years. All right. So one thing I did want to bring up, you had talked about what's his name again? No, Aurelio
Voltaire.
Oh, okay.
His character Altair. Did any of you get a Nick Cage vibe?
Oh, big time. And a little bit too of Pee Wee Herman from the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes. He's so wonderful. Like, that guy is. I had the pleasure of meeting him once, and let me tell you, I was like, I could not stop my heart. I was like, "Hello, I love you. I love you,
I'm not familiar with him. This was my first exposure, so I'll have to.
He is, well, he's called the Goth Daddy because he's definitely very goth. That's like what you see there is pretty much who he is, really. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately like his whole character. And he is a singer, obviously an actor. He's just a performer in general. And his heart is really, really good. He's really sweet. I mean, he's kind of one of those people that you're like, oh, so good. Kind of makes me sick. But he's so hot, it kind of just, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm struggling really hard on this score. Because I really kind of want to give it a 5 because
ooh, the coveted 5.
Well, it's just about perfect at what it's trying to do. I think. I mean, I can't.
See, why for me it's so hard when I deal with like a funny or a campy movie. It's so hard for me. As much as I may love them, I don't know why it's so much harder for me to rate them higher. It's something. It's all about me because I love this and I would recommend this to anyone. But then I'm like, well. Not. I'm gonna have to get over that.
Yeah, I think for me, it's without a doubt a 4. Probably what Dave said, 4.25 or maybe 4.5. But I want to go 5 because I'm sitting here trying to think of something wrong with it in terms of what they were trying to do. I mean, I think they're just about a perfect example of that kind of movie. just by how we're all laughing and talking about it, and we don't, it's got so many cliches in there, but they're so well done, from bad movies. I'm going to stick with that. I know it's kind of outrange, but I'm going to go with the 5.
Yay! That's awesome.
My favorite scene is, and some of that might be tempered by whiplash from low expectations. I don't know. But I'm with Dave. It's probably not going to be for everybody. You gotta love those. If you're somebody who loves the quote unquote so bad it's good, well, this one is so good at being bad.
Yeah.
It's intentionally doing that parody, I think. So I got so many scenes written down here, and I think I'm going to do the final.
Yes.
Final ninja fight.
Definitely one of the most realistic adaptations I've ever seen.
Yes. And or the other option would have been the ninja fight when they dive into the bedroom when they're laying there in bed. Especially the way that
was very Austin Powers.
Yeah,
it had like an Austin Power vibe going on there.
Right. Right. They all run. They come in from different directions, but they all run to the same corner of the room. They start fighting, and then when the fight's over, the position that Father Doug and Carol are in are like, it's like, I don't know, like musical chairs. And both of the Frankie Mermaid scenes could be in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Frankie Mermaid rules.
All right.
Yeah.
So there you have it for the Velocipastor, which is like something you've never seen before, directed by Brendan Steere and starring Alyssa Kempinski and Greg Cohen, from Wild Eye Releasing, coming this August to DVD and digital.
Must watch.
Yes, find
Yeah,
it.
I'd say don't miss this. We'll try to keep you posted when it finally comes out. The next one up is Derailed. That's D-railed. Where passengers on a train that crashes into a river must decide whether to risk waiting for help in the wreckage or take their chances in the murky depths below. And it's so much more than that. This one is directed by Dale Fabrigar, and the cast includes Lance Henriksen, Frank Lammers, and Tanya Kaye. So, Dave, we got us some Lance Henriksen here.
Yeah, a little, not a lot, of Lance,
well,
but
a little more than I thought. I was afraid that opening scene was all
Yeah,
we
me
were
too.
going to do.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, because he don't show up again to the very end.
So, Dave, what are your first impressions of Derailed?
This was a weird movie for me.
Yep.
It's not what it sells itself to be. The trailer is a bit misleading, although not really, but yeah, totally. I mean, everything that they mentioned does happen. There is a train, and it does crash into a lake or a river. But we got a lot of stuff going on here.
Yes.
I didn't dislike it. I know it seems like maybe whoever wrote this kind of maybe bit off a little more than they could chew. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of confusing. There are parts of it that for me seem to kind of go against the grain of the story a little bit. There was some segments that didn't really make sense. I don't know if they were just added in to extend time or if I'm missing something, because that's very possible as well. I only had time to watch this one once. So again, I think maybe a second viewing might clear up some of the confusion, or maybe you guys will clear up some of the confusion for me as we get through here. But at the end of the day, when all's said and done, we really do kind of end up with a good ghost. I was expecting more of a creature feature, and there's some of that, but at its heart, this is a ghost story.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that, and it took me a little while to kind of change my expectations. I liked how it ended.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I liked how it ended. I was okay with that, although, again, the Lance Henriksen part seemed kind of added in. It was unnecessary. We really didn't need that whole thing of like, let me come and show this where we got the pictures on. Let's have our shining moment where we can see the picture of the person hanging on the wall. But overall, it was an enjoyable watch for me, although a bit confusing. That's my first impression.
Although a bit confusing. Okay.
Just a bit. Yeah, I think I missed something. Honestly, if I'm going to be totally serious with you, probably shouldn't admit this, but it's been a long week. I've shot several concerts back to back, and I think I might have dozed off a little bit. Just a bit. And maybe missed something that I shouldn't have missed.
No, I don't think you did. I don't think you did.
You probably didn't. But,
Yeah.
So, Crystal, what are your first impressions of Derailed?
It was okay. I mean, I hate to say, oh, I loved it, I hated it, or whatever, but this was just okay. I mean, that's literally my first impression. I actually am on the opposite side of Dave as far as the ending. I feel like that's fine if they were going to go there, but then they shouldn't have had the creature and all this other stuff thrown in. I feel like this movie tried to do too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. But I thought the ending tied up. The main part of the story is the ghost story.
True.
You know, and it did tie. It tied that up, and nothing really explains the creature part of it. I mean, it's just kind of there, like, oh look, it's a creature. We have to run from it.
I think so there are some things I really liked about it, and then some things that I hated. So what I really liked is I liked the creature itself, and I liked the gore, and I liked the deaths, and I liked the murder. Okay, I liked all the bad stuff, which is good for me because I'm a sick person. But the bad stuff was, what on earth was happening when someone would go underwater, like the creature pulled them under, and then they'd come right back up and then be with the rest of the gang? It was very strange. I feel like the creature's attacks were not congruent with what the creature should be. I mean, there's a scene where we literally see the creature, and this is one of my favorite scenes, by the way, just chomp through a person's head, and then yet, I guess it's a water creature. I'm assuming it kind of looks a little bit like an angry creature from the Black Lagoon, with double sets of teeth, which was actually really cool. I think the problem with me is I was like, why didn't they just focus on that? And they made this whole cool part with the creature such a small segment of the actual movie. It and that's what's weird. But like Dave said, it's really about the ghosts and not the creature. But I enjoyed the creature more than I enjoyed the ghosts. The ghosts were boring. I didn't care about their story. I didn't care about the little girl. I didn't care about the main girl. I didn't care about any of those people. I just wanted them to get eaten by the creature. That is all I wanted. And so, see, that's where it failed for me. I get that. You're right. It was about the ghosts, but I didn't want it to be. They weren't compelling enough for me. And it all makes sense because, of course, as she's getting on the train, she looks at the modern girl all weird, like, what? What is she looking like that for? What's this all about? But so they did all this beginning part that was super boring for me. I was like, oh, is the movie going to start here? Is this going to happen? I know. I wanted the creature. I wanted more. And then at the end, they took us back with the people. I will say that the last part, the ending with her in the room and that sort of stuff, I enjoyed that. But like I said, that seemed like it should have been a completely different movie. It wasn't cohesive at all to me. And that's what I'm bothered about. Like, I am not a huge fan of boring ghosts. And these were the most boring ghosts I've ever encountered. Pretty much. So yeah, that is pretty hardcore. It's not to say I didn't hate it though. Like I said,
Boring ghost.
Like the creature was cool, and the deaths were cool, and some of it was really good. So it had some wins. It's not a total loss. It's I think it could have been better. It could have been more than what it unfortunately became for me.
Yeah, I guess it could have been better. That's not bad. So for me, it's a little bit of both of what you said. I think I really liked the beginning. At the beginning, there's a couple other things going on, but the setting is this group of people is getting on a murder mystery train, and it's Halloween, but they're all dressed in different era costumes, like mostly 20s, I think. Some more so than others, but anyway. And it's confusing to me. I guess some of them are the cast and some of them are the passengers. I wasn't exactly sure. But then very quickly, the train, for reasons I don't want to reveal, rounds a curve too fast, and they derailed and they go into the water, and all these people, this one car is separated and it's left teetering apparently on a rock or something, sort of half in, half out of the water, and they're trying to figure out how to escape. So with that opening scene, when they're getting on the train, I really kind of like that. I like that whole murder mystery setup until things started to go awry. And I like that too, but in a different way. But the thing that bothered me the most about this movie is, and I know you've heard me say this before, but characters doing stupid stuff.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just drove me nuts. And the most obvious one would be, there's several along the way, but when they're in the car and her friend, and I should bring this up too, because as usual, the three leads I left you are not really the leads. Lance Henriksen is in a part at the beginning and at the end. Frank Lammers is the host, who has a little part at the beginning and a little part at the end. Tanya Kaye is Gigi, who plays kind of a key part, but she's not on screen very long. So the real, people that are there most prevalent are Antonia, played by Letitia LaBelle, and her sort of ward, Abigail, played by Shea Smolik.
Now, the child actor was amazing, I've got to say. I think she did a phenomenal job. Like the crying, I was like, damn, girl, you get it. Like, she was a great actress.
And then there's this sort of, he's trying to play kind of a debonair guy with a sports jacket and, well-coiffed hair. Thomas is played by Everett Whalen. And then the lead, really kind of the lead, who the story centers around, is Evelyn, who's played by Carter Scott.
That's a nice name.
And then finally we have Eugene, played by Logan Coffey. Those are the main ones that we see the most of, I think, that are in the car together at different times. And I thought I was okay with. I thought Carter Scott did a decent job. I didn't really have a problem with most of the acting. It was the idea
the choices, right?
Yeah, when they're in the train car in the water, and the one guy's like going, "Excuse me." And,
there's something in the water. There's something in the,
yeah.
It's like,
there's somebody,
people.
and nobody notices. They just keep arguing until he's ripped, into the water by the monster. And then I think it was her friend. Was it her name Lucy? Lucy.
Oh yeah, that was a good.
She races into the water, like knee deep, screaming, and everybody's telling her to get the heck out of the water. It was didn't end well.
Well, and what's funny is immediately after that, they're all like, "Well, we got to swim for it." I'm like, "F you guys! What?
Yeah,
what? Yeah. Why would your first choice be to swim for it at that point? That I'd be like, nah, not. That wouldn't be my first choice. I would until
let's all get up at the other. Yeah, let's all get up at the other end of the train and try to make sure it doesn't slide off.
Yeah,
and if we have to, we'll swim. Anyway, then when they swim for it and they reach land, what do? They all stand around on the edge of the water where the monster can get them.
I'm just me so badly. I'm like, no, and then I don't know, the nanny or whatever. Since when did she become so BA? All of a sudden she comes up like fighting. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So and I'm totally. I think it was Dave talked about that they would be swimming and they'd get pulled underwater, but then they might sort of magically come up and swim the rest of the way.
Yes.
And weren't like, the one guy gets pulled under several times. The first guy, I forget his name, but he and then when he comes up and they go swim, and he goes, okay,
So yes.
Come on, how come you're not screaming and gulping and freaking out? That's anyway.
Yeah, and see, that's why I think I had such a problem with them in general. You know, it's like, dang, they're just stupid, and I do want to see them die. Like that.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person. That is all. But it's unfortunate. The creature was so cool, though, right? I mean, did y'all like the creature? I liked the creature.
I did like the creature. We needed more creature.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I like the creature, and actually, it was kind of the reverse of usual when they were just showing glimpses of it. I didn't care for it, but when they finally showed the whole thing, I was like, "Wow, that's good.
Cool." I know. Yeah, it's really actually pretty cool. The movie was shot well, right? I mean, it seemed like it was decent quality at least. You know, I mean.
Yep. Yeah, they did a good job with the the mist and the darkness and the water and all that stuff.
And if you know me, you know I love a good fog machine.
So Dave, we kind of mentioned it. So what did you think of the creature, of the effects or the suit? It was well done. I don't know. You would think if they had put that much time and money into it, they'd want to show it a little bit more. You know what I mean? I mean, we don't really see a lot of it, and definitely not enough of it. It really seems like it was just kind of thrown in there. I wonder. I'm curious as if they got a first cut of this movie and they're like, this is kind of boring. we need a creature at about the 2/3 mark. Just for about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. We need this creature, and then we can go back and tell the rest of the ghost story.
You know what? Because honestly, I think had they chosen one or the other, the movie would have been much more successful. Yeah. Had it been just a ghost story and these people had been like, maybe if they didn't have the creature to contend with, maybe if it was even just chaos amongst themselves, I think that would have been more entertaining for me. I think the problem is when they brought in the creature, that's all I wanted to see. And I didn't want anything else. Exactly. I was like, nope, you guys have lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and again, I'm not going to say the characters weren't likable, but you didn't care about them.
Yeah.
They weren't. The offensive ones bought it pretty early, and then it seemed like whenever somebody did something heroic, they died.
Well, let's be real. She was sitting there and let that little girl go and open the door just because, no, wait, stop, wait, what?
Yes.
Bitch, you get your ass up and you fucking smack that little girl back to save her life. I'm like, are you kidding me? She's just letting her go. That was poor writing right there.
Standing by the water.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. This is just a poorly written script. It just is. It's a mess. The actors do the best they can with what they're given. Obviously, the effects crew used every penny that they were given to create that that creature that they came up with. And I think that even Lance Henriksen's involvement seems like a last minute thing. Like they're watching it and they go, "We need somebody that somebody recognizes," And they built this little beginning and ending piece to toss them in. It's just very haphazard. And it just comes across as disjointed.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
I agree. Mm-hmm. And I think you totally called it. I think this very well could have been additions and easy additions. If you think about it, Lance really didn't interact with any of the characters or any. Oh my God, I guarantee.
No, he probably got paid. He probably got paid for one day. He probably charged like $8,000. I'll fly you in. You got 6 hours. And they shot the scenes and he left and they just pieced it into where it made the most sense.
However it happened, it wasn't when the other actors were there.
No.
Yeah, because he only interacts with the who's with him. There's at the end. It's just the it's the girl
just
that's
random people at the beginning too. Yeah.
And at the end, it's just the girl that happens to be on the platform when the girl shows up.
And then
like a maintenance worker
calls for help. Yeah.
Yeah, like a maintenance worker, and that's it. And then he does the whole wraparound, the whole tie-in,
right?
In that little whatever it is, 5 or 6 minute scene,
which sounds good coming from him.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. He could read the phone book, and it sounds great. But and again, he did his he's fine in what he's doing. You can get the finest actor in the world to read a turd of a script, and but at the end of the day, when you watch the movie as a whole, it just really none of it makes sense.
No, I'm gonna agree with you on the script, because I do think most of the other parts seem to be serviceable levels at the minimum, and some pretty good in terms of cinematography and the shots and the acting. You said it too. I think disjointed. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, well, even at the beginning there, when we get, and again, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but we kind of go from it starts off as a murder mystery train ride, and we kind of become a heist film. Mm-hmm. Then we're a buddy heist film.
Yes.
And then we become a kind of a disaster movie with the train wreck, and then we're a creature feature, and then we're a ghost story. And it's like, what the hell? I mean, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that really truly is what's wrong with it. No offense to anybody who had a part in it, but the writer needed to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
What would have been really great is if at the end they would have opened that door and the Velocipastor would have been there. Then or it could have been Freddie Mermaid sitting there going, "What the fuck you want?"
That would have made me so happy.
What's your fucking knock?
I would have been like, well, that movie just went up a notch in my book for sure.
Okay, well let's wind this up on Derailed. Dave, you led this off. What are your final thoughts, score, and favorite scene?
Man, I think we've kind of said it all with here. It's a decently acted, well put together, well shot turd. Yeah, the writing is atrocious. The story is all over the place. I'm going to give it a 2. I almost want to lean toward the 2.5.
Yeah.
Just because the people did work so hard on it. You could tell I'm going to give it a 2.5. Really, honestly, I don't have a favorite scene per se. I will say that my favorite part was definitely the creature. So just pick a scene with the creature in it, and I will say that's my favorite scene. Other than that, I'm giving Derailed a D.
Ooh. A D for do not watch.
Yes. Do not spend any money. Find this one somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yep. All righty. Crystal, what are your final thoughts, score, and favorite scene for Derailed?
Well, I mean, Dave summed it up perfectly. I mean, there's good acting, there's good cinematography, but like you said, it's kind of a turd. And I agree. Do not spend any money on it. But if you catch it for free, I mean, I've seen much worse. Much worse. Okay,
make your buddy run it and then watch it at their place.
Yeah. So it's like, I can't say don't watch it. Really, it's just some people may love it. I bet you some people will be like, but I loved the idea that they did this. Yeah. But what about what the characters did? Whatever. You may love it, so give it a shot. I'm absolutely with Dave. 2.5. That was my score. Like, yep, definitely that. And there was a couple scenes that were pretty good, and yes, they definitely all involved the creature. Specifically, I'm not going to mention who it was, but the arm and skin ripping off was very pleasurable to me. Very pleasurable. So that was my favorite scene. Yeah.
Pleasurable.
A pleasurable skinning.
All right. So, I guess we have kind of said it all. It is disjointed. And as Dave said, he added one where I didn't have. I had mystery, paranormal, creature feature, and then disaster was another one.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it has a hard time deciding what it is.
I think the only thing we didn't have was aliens.
Yeah.
They could have thrown an alien
Unless
in there
the creature
somewhere.
was an
Well,
alien.
the creature could have been an alien.
I was thoroughly confused by the opening scene because I think the opening scene that showed that car crash down.
Yeah.
To go down to the bottom of the water and then the hand come up against it. I thought that was something transporting, some creature. And I was thinking, why would they put that in a glass windowed car? And then I find out later, it's just a flashback at the beginning of the movie. Okay. I too had this for 2.5. I was thinking 2, but I thought I got a bump and a half just for the creature was pretty cool. And that leads to my favorite scene, which is the one I liked was, how can I describe this? When they get to the house and they show the guy, you see his head.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I thought, I don't understand how the hell that could happen. Do it that way, but I thought it was cool. I was picturing all sorts of things and getting to that shot.
What's funny is see when something like that happens and I thought the same thing, and I was like, but I don't care how they got there.
Yes,
that's when you know it's good, right? See, that's
and the expression on the victim's face was good too.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, well, that's it for Derailed. Comes to DVD and digital on August 6th from Suzanne De Laurentiis Productions. So, it's there. It's
there
as we speak. It's out there. So, those are 2 movies this week. Velocipastor, a strong recommendation. A Derailed,
not so much.
You want to check out the creature?
Yeah, get it.
It's a pretty cool creature.
You can probably get it at the library for free. I'd wait for that one.
So, or if you're a Lance Henriksen fanatic and have to see all the
there
movies.
you go, a completist. If you're a Lance Henriksen completist, yeah.
So, with that, thank you so much, Dave and Crystal.
Always
thank
a pleasure.
you for having us. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate.
Are you going to be with us? Dave's stuck with us now, right? Like we've determined that.
Well, I think he's got to be here next week.
I think I've been inherited. Yeah. Why? What are we doing next week?
So I hate to say too much because the schedule's flexible. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.